there, I'm Lance.
And I'm Jeremy.
And we are Hard to Master, where we take a look at games that are hard to master, such as
LA-1 by Trick or Treat Games.
LA-1 is a game that is coming to crowdfunding here in the very near future, so make sure to check out the link down below in the description of this video after you watch it to get all the details from the campaign page. Now, what you've got here with this particular game from Trick or Treat Games is you and the other players are going to be private eyes, private investigators trying to investigate different things that are going on in the futuristic cyberpunk world of City of Angels or Los Angeles. And you are going to be getting into the dirty grime of the streets and whatnot of old Angeles and LA-2, the underworld of Los Angeles. And so you're really kind of getting into the underworld, the seedy underbelly of Los Angeles in this game. And there's going to be some darker parts of this game that you'll come across. Nothing too extreme, I don't want to say. But with this one, you and the other players are working to solve crimes, trying to track down different bounties. You're going to be doing lots of different things in this game. It's a pretty thematic game, cooperative experience in this one. And ultimately, you all win together or you all lose together. So that's what you've got going on in this particular game. And again, it's coming to crowdfunding. So what we see here out on the table, we do want to make sure you understand, is prototype. So the final artwork, components, maybe even some of the rules could change when this game is released from crowdfunding. So again, make sure to check out that campaign page to get all those details. But what do we got going on here with this game, Jeremy?
Yeah, let me start by just saying you're not really going to see any spoilers. We're not going to show anything as far as what the case is, because each case is going to require you to draw certain cards that will tell you what you're going to need to do as far as the case goes.
Now, I love the look of this little box here. It's a filing cabinet. That's so cool.
Now, a lot of it is going to be already the same as in here. It just gives you a card on the board, so you don't necessarily have to like pull this out and read it the whole time. But the case is going to dictate a lot of how the board is set up, which cards you're going to get, what your mission is. In this first case, you have an extreme debt, and the loan sharks are out to, chomp your head off and take you out because you got to pay them. So your whole goal of this game is to collect money. Now, normally characters will start with a certain amount of karma, credits, or they may also get certain cards to start with. Now, with this one, you don't start with any money. And depending on your player count, you're going to have to get so many credits so that you can complete that. Now, with this specific case, you're going to be moving around, and there's going to be these specific cards that are on the board. You're trying to locate and collect these bounties because as you go and you investigate different locations, you're hoping that you can find someone that you need to return and complete a skill check to do that. Now, if you do that and you turn them in, you're going to get money. Now, when you get that money, you can put it into the active case area where that card is. And once you reach that certain amount, you're going to finish. Now, with case number 2, and we've only seen the 2 that were in this prototype, but there's said to be 5 or so cases. So I'm really excited to see what other cases come because I've played both of them. And with this second case, it's totally different. Like I said, you can't spend money in this one. And that's a whole different feel and vibe of the game because you want to spend money. Because you need to get these tokens, these basic tokens, so that you can heal yourself. So that you can move that darkness track back. So that you can get your heat or get passports which let you go to City of Angels. Well, you can't really do that very much in this one because you're trying to collect that money. Now, your friends may want to spend all your money and make it harder for you to collect, or you can be like me and just, I'm going to hoard all my money and donate it to pay off all the time so that we can succeed and quicker. Now, with this one, like I said, you can spend money so you can do all those things.
Right.
As far as where the darkness track starts, this one's going to start at 0. So I have a little bit more time, but there is a little bit more complexity because with that case, you're actually going to have some of the suspects face up. You're going to have certain investigations you can go to and trigger those to try to get more information because basically in that case, a husband has found his wife dead. and you're called to the case by Mason Doyle Investigations. That's your firm, and they're coming to you. They need to figure out who did this. The police aren't doing a well enough job because some people are crooked cops and become corrupt, which we'll talk about in a second. But it's hilarious. But, you know, you have to solve the case, and you're going to be going around. So what does that mean? Well, no matter the case, you're going to have a lot of similar things. So you're going to have this darkness deck, and the case is going to tell you which symboled cards you're going to put in based on this top left corner, and you're going to shuffle those and put them in this deck. Now, if this deck ever runs out, you would have to push the darkness up, shuffle, and then you'd have a new deck, which will happen if you can prolong the game long enough to win. Now, at the beginning of the turn, though, whoever the lead investigator is, they're going to read this card and trigger everything there. Now, usually, you really got to pay attention to this bottom row because it could say 4 or more players, which you would not trigger if there's less than 4. But if there's not, like this one, you would trigger everything on it from top to bottom. And it will give you choices generally. Do you want to place heat to get money? But if too many people do that, the darkness goes up. So you're really trying to balance with the other players how much darkness you want to push up, if any. A lot of times you don't, because you want to manage that darkness. Because one way that you lose this game is if that track gets to the end, which is space number 18.
Everybody loses hope.
It gets there, yeah. The city's too dark. We'll leave it there. So, with this, though, that's the way you lose. How do you win? Well, you complete that case. I guess that's either getting all the money you need, credits, or it's I need to figure out who this is. So that's the first thing you're going to do. Lead investigators going to make those tough choices. If there's a tie, they're going to be the one that says what happens. They are the deciding vote. Now, after that, everybody's going to take 2 actions, and you do have some free actions like shuffling if you need to, which is going to make you do a location dark. You could trade with someone at your location, things like that. But your normal actions are, well, maybe I don't have a full set of cards in my hand, skill cards, because I used them earlier. Well, I need more cards because if I have to do a skill check, I'm going to be flipping over those fake cards, trying to see if I can get it. And I want to play some so that I can get more of a chance to succeed, because usually when you succeed, you're going to get a benefit. Now, a lot of times it's going to be the top token at the location you're at. And that's very important because that could be the clue tokens that you need. Or it could just be these basic tokens, which allow you to get upgraded cards, move the darkness back, or even flip over cards with those hacker tokens so that you can find the ones that you need to get. So maybe I can do that. Maybe I can move to a location. I can spend credits to get these local skill cards. Or if I'm here at Mason Doyle, I can spend 10 to get a major upgrade. And that would then also allow me to move to a location. So you're doing things like that. You can also lay low. So maybe you got the heat over here. You need to get some heat back because this darkness a lot of times is going to require the people with the most heat or actions like that. So I may lay low. If I'm in Old Angeles or a City of Angels and I lay low, that's only 1 heat token that comes back and you only have 5 in your supply. But if I'm in the underworld, well, I can really lay low because no one's searching around here.
Yeah.
So I can take 2 back. Now, I could also do a hot tip. Now, a hot tip can be very important at times because you'll see that each location has these investigation cards. Now, the investigation ones are a little bit harder to pass, whereas if you have a stakeout card, those are going to be easier to play. Now, this one's a wild, so I don't know what type of icon I'm going to need. And unless I have a lot of major skill upgrades that allow for multiple different kind of wild symbols, I may have a hard time, especially if nobody's there to help me with that skill check. So I could do a hot tip to move it to the bottom. Well, now I know I need a move or a moxie or a muscle. So I have a little bit more of an idea of what kind of symbols are going to be there that I need to play. And if I don't have those symbols in my hand, probably not a great one to investigate. I probably need to heal, which when you take your damage, you're going to take them face down. So you have the first 2 face down. The next one's face up. Well, that face up one's going to give you some detriment. Then the next one, and then one after that, 4 and 5 are going to be face down. Well, 6 is up. If you ever take 7 then you're done. So if there's another character in the box, you can get it out and continue, but you kind of don't want to do that. You want to survive.
Right.
So whenever you heal, you can only heal face down cards unless you have this location up here that's become light where you can pay to heal those. But it does take a passport to come up to the City of Angels, and a lot of times you don't have one, especially if you're in Scenario 1 and you're hoarding that money. Now, we keep talking about skills, so let's talk about a skill check. So it may say, blah, 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 based on the script. I don't have them memorized. Sorry, there's like a ton of cards. But you have a script you're going to read, and it kind of gives a little bit of information on what's, if they're doing something smart, or they're quickly moving here, or whatever it may be. But it's going to give you an idea. Then they're going to say you're going to test Moxie 5. Well, you have to play cards that are going to help that, but you also have this Fate deck. And this Fate deck is going to flip. So if the first card flipped, and it's a Mind 1. Well, I needed Moxie, so I'm going to get to add as a 1. But, say it's a later turn, and or you have this ability on your cards, you have abilities that you could trigger. So like this character, the hacker, if a mind is flipped and you didn't want a mind, you could flip again and ignore it. So, well, that's cool because say we did ignore that. Well, now I've got a wild fate card, a lucky card. That gives me +1 and I draw, just like if I had placed a Moxie. Oh, look, we got another Moxie. So if I had played 2 Moxie symbol cards or a card that said +2 Moxie, well, then I've got 3, 4. I just needed 1 more, and the last one will always add to it. Well, now I have 6, so I would have passed that skill check, and it would have told me what I had gained from it, or possibly if you fail or win, sometimes you have to draw a new card, and it will tell you what to do in that. So, but yeah, that's generally the idea. You're going through those actions. You could perform a specific action to your character or a location. You could use the black market. I could put 1 token into heat to pay the cost for specific token if it's here. When one is purchased, a new one would come out from the bag. So those are your actions. Now you could also trigger and play one of these tokens. So I could use it for its benefit as an action. Now, after everybody's done their 2 actions, or up to those 2 actions, then you're going to do an investigation, which is where you could maybe investigation phase. So if I couldn't do what I wanted because of the symbols, and I have damage, well, I could heal a couple of those damage. I could do a stakeout or an investigation, spending those cards and doing that skill check. That's all of phase 3, even though we kind of talked about the symbols in phase 2. Now, like I said, in case 1, you could put the credits on the card as your investigation phase. I'm playing clues or credits to move that case along. Whereas if I was in case number 2, those suspect cards are going to require specific tokens. Well, during this phase, I could put tokens onto those cards so that we can progress the case. Now, you're going to keep doing that until you either complete the case and it says read this, victory, case closed, victory, or maybe you run out of time. And that is how, kind of in a nutshell, you would play LA-1. Let's go into kind of how we feel and think about this game.
Yeah. So the first thing I think about this game is that it is highly thematic. This is a game that is going to give you that feel of being a private eye. Not just any kind of private eye, though, that you're kind of like living in this like cyber noir version of Los Angeles, almost dystopian, like with mutants and that sort of thing kind of roaming the world. It's kind of got like a Fallout feel to it a little bit.
I was getting more of a Fifth Element.
Okay, yeah.
Because just the other day, one of the characters, it was like he got this guy's face blasted, and I just imagine the blue goo like going everywhere. But
Fifth Element, that's a perfect way.
It's like a cyberpunk noir. I would say the theming and the cards and the detective style is very noir-like.
Yeah.
Even the script of like these cases, like you've seen in movies, cases that are similar to this. Right. So has that, but the artwork and kind of the flavor that's thrown into it is that cyberpunk. Like even your characters, a couple of them are PIs. I only play with one PI at a time, just so we can get more variety. But you have two. You have Edward Doyle, and Roni Mace, which is kind of your Mia Jovovich.
Yep.
Right there from Fifth Element, kinda. And then you have your other people. So you have Freelance Muscle.
Yondu.
Which kind of, he's the shark. He's a big old blue brute. Then you have the most wanted character in all of our games.
Yeah.
For sure, 3 times and 2 more times almost.
Guaranteed
one of them
arrested.
was arrested. No, no, you're the only one that was arrested. The other person that played this person never was arrested. They took care of it by spending their karma.
I mean,
but the infiltrator, very wanted, blows people's heads off and just continues on. And Tina Wu, which is a great character to use as well, the hacker. And the hacker plays into that cyberpunk vibe. So.
And each character has their own differences. They're
either going to have where they can flip over a skill card that matches, or both of them, or they may have that if like a move came out and that's on their abilities, they're going to get to add an extra move, basically. But you also have a character ability, like you could, if you fail a skill test with Tina Wu, well, you can get rid of a card from your hand and get a local skill card. Or
so small differences.
Yeah, they're going to have little things like the shark can get damaged and get other benefits and things like that.
So again, just little ways in which the theme comes out in this one. Everything feels very themey with this game. Even like the box that I pointed out earlier is a filing cabinet, which I think is just so cool.
Ooh, no spoilers. I said no spoilers.
Oh, no spoilers.
You're showing the back of the cards, Lance.
Okay, come on. But anyhow,
we got eagle eyes out there. They're real scout detectives. They're going to figure out who was what.
The case files look like manila folders and that sort of thing. It's just really a nice touch with the way the game looks. Your passports to get back to the City of Angels are USB cards, like or sticks. Like that's a nice little touch with the game. Your credits look like futuristic money. Just little nice touches of theme with the game. The way the mechanics are done in this one with the different fate checks, and you earn a little bit more of the story, a little bit more of the narrative, and not all the fate checks are positive things. Like you might pass something and you might think that you're going to get something, but then maybe you don't and you get something different, and it's like, oh, the story took a twist, right? Like, so it's a very much story kind of narrative kind of experience with this game. I don't want you to think like campaign, like some kind of narrative game that's going to be, hours upon hours.
Well, you can actually, this game can be played as a campaign where you go case to case to case, keeping some things together, and like if characters die, well, not using them again.
Yeah.
But it's generally also a one-session game.
Yeah.
And like I said, each case did feel very different.
Yes.
One thing we didn't hit on too much is each location starts dark. It's going to have a detriment to it, whether that's placing a heat when you enter it or taking damage. Now, you can spend those karma tokens during the investigation to make it a lighted
to brighten
space,
the city up a little bit,
which will actually help, because now instead of losing 2 health when you enter here, you're going to only lose 1. But you can also spend heat to gain karma.
Right.
And when we talk about shuffling, you're going to have to move a location to dark so that you can shuffle your deck and get those skill cards back, because you've ran out of them. Otherwise, you're progressing that darkness track up.
Now, I will say this is a game that you do have to be prepared for a certain element of luck to be involved in the game, because obviously you're going to be flipping cards over, trying to pass tests. In any game that involves card flipping or dice, this game doesn't have dice, but it's the same kind of idea. There's a certain level of luck that's going to be tied into the game. Now, you can mitigate that by getting these skill cards to upgrade your deck. This is a little bit of a deck builder as well, hoping that those better cards are going to pay off in the long run, helping you to get the skills that you need in order to pass these tests. It is going to be something that you got to work on and be diligent with this one, because it's not an easy game. This is a challenging game.
This is a challenging game. You can manage like the darkness and things, but you need to progress that case along.
Yeah.
This is not an easy, like I'm gonna just have an easy run and finish with the darkness here at 5 or 10
It's
every
gonna be very
game.
close.
It's gonna move up, and you're gonna come down to those last few rounds to
Yeah.
see if you win. Like I said, with the case number 2, you have to find specific tokens so that you can trigger and find and do certain card readings so that you can see, well, did you find the motive, means, and opportunity, or an alibi card to say that that person is not a suspect anymore until you get the final ones that do that. And it can literally come down to you pull the card, was it right? If not, you're going to lose. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a challenge, but you kind of want that in a game. It is kind of going to depend on the case as far as time frame and the amount of players. Case 2 is a little bit longer, but again, like we had all the tokens cleared off and had to reset all of them because we had just done a ton of investigating and keeping that darkness as low as we could.
For the emotional experience of what you're going to get with this particular game, it's going to give you a lot of highs and a lot of lows in the sense of you flip over the card, it's exactly what you needed, or gives you another pull at another card, and that gets you exactly what you need. Those are going to be very high element moments, and lots of, oh my goodness moments, like I didn't see that coming, I didn't see that happening.
I think just you.
There's going to be times though when you flip over the card,
it's like and arrested was like that was your low of lows. But you were a low life cop.
I was a low life cop, but I didn't do half the crimes they accused me of.
Well, that's not what the people say. That's not what the evidence pointed to. So
there's going to be moments too where you flip over the card and you're just like, how on earth did I not pass this? How did I not? How did the worst card possible come out for me at this particular time? And even in those moments, it's going to have you be invested in the game because you're going to be so attached to the storyline that you're wanting to pass these tests. You're just wanting to get a little bit more of the story, a little bit more closer towards figuring it out.
What's funny is the cards are very thematic.
Yeah.
So when you read them, it'll say something that would be kind of like Lance talking about flipping a card. Like you were on a stakeout, you were watching the suspect, and a random shoe flies out of the sky and hits you in the head. You turn to look. When you turn back, no one's there.
The person's gone.
That's kind of like Lance with flipping cards, which is usually his dice rolls. But in here, he's just arrested.
Well, lots of things happen in this particular game, which is something that I particularly like about this particular one, is just that the story can go so many different ways, it feels like, and it's well written. It's not something that's just a straightforward, like, yeah, I saw that coming from a mile away. There's a lot of things that kind of just get intertwined with the narrative part of the game that make it really interesting and keep you invested the entire time you're playing the game. So really interesting one here with this one.
Yeah, definitely check out the campaign, which we may be on, because there's going to be some different things. I've heard there's going to be miniatures like a lot of their other games. There may be some upgrades. Like I said, there's going to be more cases. So definitely you want to look at it. I've heard a ton of cards. I don't want to say a number because I could be thinking of the wrong number, but there's a ton of cards just in the location, the skills, and then this is all cases. So if you look in here, half of this box is just 2 cases. So you can imagine that maybe the whole box would be filled up with cards of just cases. And then you have other ones. So again, all prototypes. So it'd be interesting. I can't wait to see what else is shown on that campaign page. Because like I said, I want to dive into the other cases just because it's thematic. I played other, detective games and they didn't really hit. This one being cooperative, I like cooperative. It's a nice break from all the competition that we play. So this was one that it may take up your whole night, depending on the case you do and how many people. But if you like thematic games, this is going to kind of give you that feel, and you're gonna like diving into all and reading all those cards. It is recommended to have the person that goes after you read your cards, which will definitely help, so the same person is not reading and doing all the, script and everything. Right.
And it is a game in which you can reset it and play the same cases over multiple times.
Yeah, that's a good point, because each, it'll say draw a random 4 card or draw a random 71. So it may not be the one that you were expecting.
It's going to be different every time.
So you're going to have to that's a little bit of that. You're going to have to hope you get the right ones, or you can continue to get them so that you can find the result that you needed.
The game is LA-1. It is from Trick or Treat Studios.
Or Trick or Treat Games.
Trick or Treat Games, yeah. Trick or Treat, yeah.
It's a game department.
And it is coming to crowdfunding. Again, really interesting, thematic, kind of detective noir, private eye kind of game. Cyberpunk, a lot of different elements with this one. So it's on crowdfunding, so make sure to check out the link down below in the description of this video after you've watched it. And while you're down there, make sure to leave us some comments. Let us know what you think about this particular one, what you think about Trick or Treat Studios. If you like this video, please, please, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon to be notified of all of our great new content. I'm Lance.
I'm Jeremy.
And we are Hard to Master, where we take a look at games that are hard to master. We'll see you next time.
See ya.